Hello everyone, today we are gonna talk about every single 5-star gem inside of Diablo Immortal. I will give short information about every single one of them, and we are gonna choose the must-haves, the usable ones in some certain cases. I will try to talk about everything. So let's start with Phoenix Ash. Don't buy this gem if you don't have it already, and if you have it already, if it's not rank 10 or something like that, you can use it as an auxiliary source. You can use another gem as an auxiliary on top of Phoenix Ash if you already have it. But if you don't have it, I don't advise you to buy it. And the same thing applies for Chip of Stoneflesh too. This gem is a good gem if you are playing with CC builds all the time. This gem only works with total loss of control effects like stun, freeze, blind, and maybe I missed some, but those types of effects can trigger Chip of Stoneflesh, and we don't have many of them. So basically, on most of the builds, you don't need this gem. But like I said, if you have specific builds that revolves around total loss of control, then yes, you can have this gem. But otherwise, I don't really advise it. And after that, we have Howler's Call. I think you shouldn't buy this gem too. This is a very old gem, day 1 gem, and which is not really good. And Seeping Bile. Seeping Bile is only good if you already have it. It used to cancel bandages, but it doesn't do that anymore. So it's just a damage over time gem, which is not bad. I have it and I'm using it, and I'm happy with it. And it has a slow debuff, if I'm not mistaken, at higher ranks, which is not bad. That loss of control effect can trigger other things you have. That really depends on your build. But if you're a low spender, you don't really have to mess with Seeping Bile. You can just go with Viper's Bite. They are basically the same gem, and Viper's Bite is a 2-star gem, by the way. Next we have Blessing of Worthy. You shouldn't buy this gem, it's not good, just don't buy it. And if you have it, like I said, for Phoenix Ash, you can use another gem on it as an auxiliary. And then we have Bloodsoaked Jade. This is probably one of the must-have gems in the game. You should use it because it gives you movement speed buff. On top of that, at higher ranks, it gives you more damage increase, which is always welcomed. So this is one of the must-have gems in the game. You should have this and use it all the time. After that, we have Echoing Shade. Unfortunately, I have this gem at rank 7. It's not good for PvP. Actually, it's kinda useless for PvP. In PvP, only use case is these clones can make the enemy hit them, so your enemies might spend some cooldowns on your clones, which is good, but in general, it's not a good gem for PvP. It is good for PvE if you are playing with summon builds, but I think you shouldn't invest in 5-star gems because they are good in PvE. There are a bunch of good 2-star and 1-star gems for PvE, so you shouldn't really spend your platinum or gem power on 5-star gems, most of them, especially Echoing Shade in this case. You shouldn't go for it, just for PvE. Unless you are a sucker for summoner builds, of course it's a good gem for that. Next we have Bottled Up. I think this is one of the must-have gems, because almost all of the classes has a buff skill, which will trigger Bottled Up, which increases your damage and your movement speed. And at the higher ranks, it gives you a cooldown on your skills. It's not that high, but it helps. After that we have Zwenson's, which is the worst gem in the game. Don't buy it. And if you have it, just use another gem inside of it as an auxiliary gem. It is one of the worst gems. I mean, probably the worst gem in the game. Next, we have Frozen Heart, which is a decent gem, decent defensive gem. It is useless in PvE. It is decent for PvP. So if you get this gem at high star count, you might want to increase it for resonance plus some defensive abilities. But other than that, I don't really recommend this gem. I don't really go for defensive gems too much. I have only one, and that's Spiteful Blood, and we will gonna come to that. But Frozen Heart can be a good option, but it's not that special. It's a decent defensive gem. So I wouldn't go for it if I were starting my journey today. If I were buying 5-star gems, creating my build, I think Frozen Heart wouldn't be on that list. And the same thing applies for Concentrated Will. It is not terrible for Tempest right now because we have a bunch of dash skills on Tempest, but on any other class, it is kinda garbage. I don't like this gem and I don't recommend it. After that, I can say the same things for Hellfire. I don't like it. If you want cheap gem resonance, maybe then this can be a go-to with concentrated will, but that's not a good idea. I wouldn't do it. So I don't like this gem or recommend it. I don't like it at all. Next, we have Gloom Cask, which is a super cool gem if you are playing with primary attack builds. Otherwise, it is not that useful. But for now, for Tempest, for Demon Hunter, this is a really cool gem. Especially for Demon Hunter, it is a must-have gem unless you are playing with summons. So in general, you can't use this gem in all of the builds, but you can use them with primary attack based builds, and it is really good for those types of builds. So it depends. If you are gonna play with primary builds, then this is gonna be a must-have gem. After that, we have Starfire Shard. If you are interested in PvP, this is a must-have. If you don't have it at high ranks, you can use this gem as an auxiliary and still get the knockback effect, which is very good. But I have this gem at rank 6 and I'm very happy with it. I would recommend it to get it and rank it up. This is one of the best PvP gems. And after that, we have Spiteful Blood, which is my defensive gem of choice right now, because it is kinda cool. It gives you a little bit of damage, primary attack immunity, and a little bit of shield when you go 50% below of your life for 4 seconds. Which is good and decent, especially when we think about the current meta in the game. There is a lot of Tempest and Blood Knights, and not Blood Knights, Demon Hunters, and they all use primary attacks, so this is a good defensive gem against that. Next, we have Void Spark. This is one of the best gems in the game. Damage itself from this gem is quite nice. Other than that, it can spread your damage over time effects, your Viper's effect, Seeping effect. So this is a good gem, especially for damage over time builds. But in general, it is still really good gem. So if you have it, yeah, you can rank it up. It is a little expensive, but it's a good gem. And if you have just one copy of this, just use it as an auxiliary when you are doing open world farming. This gem is really fun in the open world. It kills everything by itself, even at rank 1 as an auxiliary. Next, we have Maw of the Deep. I use this gem as an auxiliary sometimes because it's an annoying gem, but it's not perfect. Animation is too slow, so I don't recommend it to buy and upgrade. Yes, it is cheap, but it is not that good, so I would stay away from this gem. Or, like I said, you can use it as an auxiliary, which works kinda okay. And now we have my favorite gem, Roiling. Like, this gem is perfect. It gives you critical hit chance and it applies a burn. So basically, this gem contains Mother's Lament and Viper's Bite in one roof. So I really like this gem. I recommend it. I think this is one of the must-have gems with Blood-Soaked Jade and Bottled Hope. It is really good, so I really recommend it. And next we have the last 2 gems. They were kind of flop. This gem is only good for like barbarians and lancer necromancers. It triggers quite fast. Otherwise, to trigger this fully, you have to spam all of your skills to get the swords out. So it doesn't really work with most of the classes. I wouldn't recommend it. It's good for cheap resonance. Other than that, it's not really good. Like I said, it goes well with barbs and necromancers, but that's all. And it depends on their builds as well. So I don't recommend it. And finally, we have the latest gem. It is called Stormvault, and it is not good. So it is good for damage over time builds, once again, to spread your dot, because the AoE is kinda huge, but you can just dash out of it and escape the animation of this gem. But still, on the idols, on crowded areas, it can work, but I wouldn't upgrade it, I wouldn't rank it up. You can just use it as an auxiliary gem and do the same. Like, it will work as a Void Spark basically, and Void Spark is just better than this gem, but you can still use it as an auxiliary. So basically we went over all of the gems, all of the 5-star gems. I will talk about 2 stars in another video, but in this one we talked about 5 stars. And to summarize it, let me tell you which ones are must-haves for everyone. Blood-Soaked Jade, second, Bottled Hope, and the third one is Roiling, in my opinion. These 3 gems should be used by everyone, I think they are really good. Other than that, Seeping Bile is decent. Frozen Heart and Spiteful Blood, they are decent options for defensive gems if you want to have them. I went for Spiteful, depends on your playstyle, but you can go for Frozen Heart as well. They are not completely equal, they are different gems, but I like Spiteful Blood more, but you might like Frozen Heart more than Spiteful, so that decision is up to you. And I wouldn't use Stormvault or Hilt of Many Realms. Gloom Cask is good for primary attack builds. Starfire is a must-have if you are interested in PvP. Void Spark can be used both good in PvE and PvP. Other than that, what we have left? We don't have much now. Okay, Phoenix, Howler's Blessing, don't go for them. Seeping, if you have it, keep using it, and it's a decent damage over time gem. Chip, like I said, if you are playing with total loss of control builds, then you can use it, otherwise it is kinda useless. And I think that's all. Like Hellfire and Concentrated, I don't really recommend them. Echoing Shade is good if you are a sucker for summon builds in PvE, otherwise it's not good. Zwenson is straight up garbage, and I think that's all. Yeah, we talked about every single one of them. But if you have questions about gems, let me know in the comments. And if you are going to ask, should I use this gem or this one, please tell me all of your gems so I can really understand your setup. And I'm sure other people will be helpful to you guys if you ask questions. I will try to answer them. But if I can't find time, you guys don't be shy and answer each other's questions so we can like grow as a community. And I think that's all for this video. We talked about every single one of them. And like decision is kinda up to you. But like I said, a Bloodsoaked Jade, Bottle Dopes, a Rolling. And if you are doing PvP, Starfire is a must-have. But if you are wondering about what I am using, let me show it to you. First, I have Spiteful Blood, I have Rolling, I have Seeping, Bloodsoaked Jade, Bottle Dope, and Starfire Shard. And as you can see, I have an Echoing Shade here, even though it is not good. I am using it as an auxiliary gem source. I change it all the time, I try different things, and mostly if I'm playing Tempest, I am using Gloom Cask as an aux. Sometimes I use Void, depends on my build basically. And I'm using Spiteful as a defensive gem. And as you can see, I have a 2-star here, Pain Clasp. I'm not really pushing for resonance right now that crazy, so I will keep this 2-star as long as I can. And this is my setup. I mean, you can understand basically I'm using the gems that I recommended. And that's all I can say about legendary gems. If you want to see a tier list or something like that, let me know in the comment section. In this one, we talked every single one of them briefly. If you have questions, just let us know. We will try to answer. So thanks for tuning in and take care. See you in the next one.